the way I like to begin this, because my thing is called Engaged Liberation. And that is, what is liberation to you?
You start with such a small question. What a tiny question. Wow, that's a big one. I mean, my gut reaction and the thing that came the most quickly to me is being able to wake up every single day and just decide, whatever that means to you. Just decide what it is you want to do, how you want to spend your time, who you want to love, how you want to move through the world. The ability and the freedom to just have complete and utter autonomy. That's
cool. That's a good one. To decide. Autonomy. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a privilege. It's super nice to be able to live that way. Would you say that people more or less do have that, but they don't know that they do? Or you're like, no, it's a dime a dozen?
I mean, that's such a layered question, because even the way that I answered that question, that's through a very individualistic lens, right? Like, that was not taking into account the collective really in any way. I think a lot of us do have a lot more autonomy than we're willing to give ourselves credit for, or that we're willing to take accountability for, because I think with autonomy comes a complete sense of accountability, right? Like, those two things I feel like can't be mutually exclusive. But then I also think that there are so many systems set up in place for so many people that I think it's like too nuanced for me to sit here from a place of privilege and be like, I think you have more autonomy than you think, and you're just not choosing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's hard. No, it's very, very hard. That to even contemplate. I wish it weren't like this. At times, I don't think it's like this. Right now, we're kind of talking about it like it is. But to contemplate liberation, sadly, shouldn't be a place of privileged conversation.
At all. And I think, like, one of the gifts that I think we do have that's completely universal is the ability to try and form a relationship with yourself and a dialogue with yourself to get to know yourself more. I think that's a power that we all hold and we all yield. And
How do you do it?
Oh my God, through so many different ways. I mean,
how do you do it?
How do I do it? Like, me personally, through many different ways, but one of which is definitely stillness and quiet. All of us, I think, just have so many different ways of being overstimulated coming at us from every single angle throughout the day. And if I don't allow myself moments of meditation, whatever that meditation may look like sometimes it literally means meditating. And sometimes, like, for me, cooking is a huge way to get into that flow state. And so cooking without being on the phone or talking to somebody or listening to a podcast or whatever, and just being there with like the sounds and like the movement and allowing myself to kind of get into the flow state. I have some of my best thoughts when I'm cooking, when I'm in the shower, and it's all because it's the stillness. And I started to notice that, like, if I wouldn't give myself those moments throughout the day, every single day, when I would go to bed at night, it would be so much more difficult for me to fall asleep, because that would be the first moment of silence I had throughout the day. And then I'd just be like flooded with all of these thoughts. And I was like, yeah, we can't. I take my sleep way too seriously. Like, we can't do that. So the quiet and the stillness has been really huge for me, and spending a lot of time alone. Like, I really love being alone, and I like being with myself. And I'm happy that I've, done the work to be able to be in a place where, like, I do really love myself, and I think I'm a cool person, and I like spending time with But yeah, that alone time and just allowing myself to think and to let things out via journaling. Like, I'm a big journaler. I've always been since I was younger, before I even like knew that that's what it was called. Because allowing myself to just get out my thoughts and not judge them, not think that, like, if I write out my fear, that means it's going to come true, and do that like weird like fear mongery thing. Instead, I'm like actually releasing it and like turning it into a prayer or whatever it is that I'm like doing to like alchemize that type of fear. But yeah, and therapy. Like, I've done a lot of therapy throughout my life.
Yeah, therapy is great. Therapy comes up a lot. We love We love the professionals.
Oh, there's so many people on the internet that are going to tell you how to do something, how to meet yourself, how to know yourself, how to love yourself, whatever. And there's no one that can actually get you to that place truly other than yourself. But like to be guided there in a safe container with somebody who knows what the fuck they're actually doing because they studied it and are professionals. Brilliant.
Are you a weekly goer, or are you like I'm in a bind, I'm gonna give them a ring?
I think that I'm in a bind, I'm going to give them a ring. That's not sustainable.
Okay.
I think the whole point of, at least for me, the whole point of therapy was setting myself up so that like when shit does hit the fan, like I do have the tools in place and I already have the support system like set up. Right now, that sounds super ridiculous because I haven't been in therapy for the last like 5 months. But prior, it was a once a week situation. And I'll also go through bouts of like the bigger, more intensive things. Like when I was 22, I did this thing called the Hoffman process, which was like a week-long whole therapy. We can get into it if you want. But anyway, that was like a whole transformative experience. But it was like from there, so that was 7 years ago now, I have to stay in the habit and the routine of like practicing and working the system and the tools and the you know what I mean? It doesn't stop.
No.
But I think if you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop and that's when that's not sustainable.
Well, hopefully, you know, if there's a middle ground and it's like consistent weekly calls, and then there's the one where I'm in a serious bind, maybe there's the middle ground where you can feel like the flow is loosening.
Yes. And like just to like go back to what I said earlier with the weekly call thing, it got to a point where the weekly calls became bi-weekly calls, where it was like, okay, we're doing this only twice a month, because I started to feel like I was dredging stuff up just to talk about stuff. And that didn't feel good either, which I think is why whenever I have this conversation with people about therapy, I just urge them to, I'm like, it's like dating. You have to find like try on a bunch of different hats and like see what feels good in terms of the actual person and the dynamic that you guys have, but also different therapy modalities. Like I can talk myself and over intellectualize everything until I'm blue in the face. And I'm like, oh, perfect.
Tell me about it.
Solved it. But it's like I haven't allowed myself to actually feel the feeling. So then a year later, it's like one tiny thing happens and now I'm like exploding. Like that doesn't work. So for me, like traditional talk therapy is not that helpful, because it's just like a vent session that like I'm not really doing anything with, where I need something that's a little bit more, gets me more into my body, that sort of forces me to go there and to actually feel the feeling and release the feeling, because I'm like a very up here type of person.
Journaling.
Mm-hmm.
You love to journal. You live up here. It gets out on your page. Does journaling precede writing? Is that why you write? Would you say you are a writer? Would you say you are a journalist? Would you say, like, what's your moniker? Also,
I say
introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Gabby. I'm a journalist. I'm a writer. I'm an on-camera host. I host my own show called Irregardless. I do many things, but yes, I call myself a journalist and a writer because to me, it's two different buckets. I think, I come from a more traditional editorial background. I started my career at Architectural Digest. I was assistant to the editor-in-chief. I'd interned in editorial before I'd, started my big girl job there. And I'm published in a variety of different publications and magazines. So that is like more of the journalist hat, right? Of like, this is what we're doing here. But I'm also writing in a different capacity. I have my Substack. I also have my pieces that it's not hard-hitting journalism over here. Like it's just we're writing, and I'm lucky that the publication that I'm writing for is down to talk about the feels, or they're down to talk about like the funny thing I saw on the internet, or whatever. And so I think I kind of allow those two things to exist in tandem, and I don't need to like morph them, but I don't take it that seriously. If people like say one or the other, I'm like, whatever. But to answer your question about the writing, when I was young, I mean, this must have started when I was like in middle school. I was never that much of like garbage day. I was never much of like a Dear Diary and like, this is what I'm mad about. Like I was like that when I was little. And then I started to realize that like, I was always scared like my mom or my sister were going to like read my diary. So I stopped that. And then I started typing, and I would basically write these like long letters, never to be sent, and these like long diatribes if I was like angry. I was just such a dramatic kid.
To who?
To whoever I was angry at, an ex-boyfriend or a friend or my sister or my mom or whatever. And I would just like write this like just letter. And they were just like short essays before I like really knew what that meant. And I would print them and I'd like put them in a little box and I would just like keep them in they're probably still in my childhood bedroom, honestly. If I chose to find them, I'm sure I could. And I was doing a lot of that. And then when I was in high school, I had an English teacher. I feel like there's always the English teacher or like the one teacher. And he was my senior year English teacher. And he was the one that really helped me connect the dots of like, oh, A, you're good at this. B, this is like an emotional outlet for you. And C, like you can pursue this as a career, you know? And that was sort of the beginning formation of what I would say has been the through line throughout the rest of my year, which I didn't even connect until maybe 2020, even though I'd already been doing it, was that like the through line was humans, was connecting with other people, was allowing our emotions to come through either through humor or being dramatic or whatever the case may be. But that was like that humanity of it has been, I think, the thread throughout all of the different types of writing and journalism that I've done. But it's always been like an outlet for me.
So they say journalism is dying. I was just having a conversation with someone, and they work in education, and SATs kind of like we were like, you don't need to do SATs anymore, but now you need to do SATs again because they were like, oh, kids are dumb. Like they should learn how to like read and stuff. Reading is really bad.
Right.
Right. I interviewed this guy who teaches, he's a professor, big university, teaches this class on death and dying. And he doesn't have much paperwork in his class. It's a YouTube video and he's in the corner of the YouTube video and he like edits these videos together. And I think it's like super cool, go with the times, way to reach your audience, but also maybe problematic, maybe not, like save paper, don't buy books. And so yeah, where are we going with the writing, with journalism? You're in that field. Places shut down, places get absorbed. Substack is supposed to be for writers, but now video is invading. This is literally a video. What happens next?
What happens next? I mean, I think we're in a really scary time of anti-intellectualism. And that freaks me out. I mean, I think from a political perspective, I think
you can be an idiot and
yeah, but then also it's like they're making, this isn't new, right? But it's just becoming like so popular. It's new in the sense where it's like, okay, we grew up in Miami, right? My mom's like, come move back to Miami and like have babies here. And I'm like, where they like are legally not allowed to read certain books and like what are we talking about here? And so I think we've always lived in an environment where there's the people at the top that are like, don't worry about it. I'll learn all the big words. You don't have to worry about it. Don't worry about it. Like, I got you. And then it kind of conditions us to feel like, we're not smart enough to understand the thing, or somebody else who's smarter than me can handle it. I see this a lot with like women in financial literacy, for example, which was like a whole thing that I underwent, like, I don't know, like maybe 4 years ago, where I was like, I don't think I know anything about money other than how to spend it properly. So, or not even how to spend it, period. So I started reading all these books about financial literacy and decided to like pull my head out of the sand, right? And it was very much, I was hit with that reckoning of like, there's so many times that I say, I don't need to know how to do that. Or like, they know how to do that. I can just like, I can outsource it. I can hire for that. I can do this. I can do that. Yeah. When in reality, yeah, sure, you can outsource it, but like, I'm not going to outsource something that I don't fundamentally understand. You can be better at it than I am. Sure. But I need to fundamentally understand that. And so long-winded way of just coming back to the point that I think that like we're at this time where nobody trusts facts anymore. And that was a very deliberate thing, which that in and of itself is terrifying. That it's like, if we can't have a conversation that the sky is blue and we can't agree that the sky is blue, it's like, where do we go from here? And then, yeah, just this desire to like not feel like we need to keep learning, which I think is really dangerous.
It is really dangerous. It's dangerous for democracy, but I think it's just dangerous for a fun, enjoyable quality of life.
100%.
I think it makes, I think these phones really do steal people's imaginations, which is to steal one's joy. Like, if you can't imagine, I think the essence of joy is the ability to imagine places and potential of things that can make you joyful, that you can indulge in and be creative about and want to dive into. And if you don't imagine them because you're fed everything, and you never get up from the table, your life is stifled, and then we are stifled in that sense. I want to jump off what you just said about outsourcing, which is not how I think about ChatGPT, but like,
okay,
isn't that exactly what it is? Like our obsession with efficiency. Like at some point we sold people like you need to do more and less, which is a fucking absolute nightmare sell. Like you should be doing less and then always have more. Like less is more, not like do more things in less time, because then you'll just end up doing more and more and more. But this idea of all of these tools, like I ask ChatGPT anything, I don't understand it fundamentally, I outsource it, as you say, this obsession with efficiency, and it doesn't require anything of us. It's frightening. I don't know that that's a question.
No, I pick up what you're putting down. I think the whole AI ChatGPT conversation, there's, from at least from my perspective, and I don't know if it's the correct perspective, but the way that I approach it is like, it's evolve or die, like, or adapt or die, whatever the saying is. I think we are blessed, and it's also a curse, to live in a time where technology is constantly becoming smarter and smarter and smarter. And are there crazy implications that I'm terrified of? 100%. I also think that if there's tools that allow you to work a little smarter, not harder, it's not necessary. That's like when I think outsourcing is good, because look, you're still asking the question because you are curious to find the answer. And if now you just have a tool that allows, you to save a bit of time consolidating all this information, whether or not you would have been going to Google and like clicking 1,000 different articles and reading all through them, now you have it bullet points. It's like a Spark Notes, which, like, is it always the best thing? No, but is it helping you? And
it can
automate the things. And here's the thing, because you talked about the to-do list never getting shorter. You have to decide what it is that matters, because you're correct. Like, if you're constantly optimizing, you're not all of a sudden gonna like, you have to choose what you want to do at that time, right? Because if not, like, your time there's always going to be more things to do. The to-do list is always going to get longer. And I got into this like debate the other day with a friend of mine, because they were like, I don't understand people who use Instacart. Get up and go to the grocery store. And I was like, why? Maybe that's your touch point for human interaction of the day. Feel you, brother. Go to the grocery store. For me, I'd rather use that hour to go for a walk or go to the gym or sit on my fucking couch if that's what I want to do, or read that chapter of the book. And if I can save that time by using this piece of technology to help me save that time so that I can actually use my time for something that truly brings me a bit more joy, it's not making me like less of an interactive human being. I'm just actually choosing what matters most to me, because I only have a finite amount of time in every single day, just like you have a finite amount of time. And just because what you want to do isn't what I want to do doesn't make what I want to do any less worthy, and what you want to do make it any less worthy. It's just like deciding what matters to you.
This is not sponsored by Instacart, by the way. It is a great sell for them. It is a good.
I should reach out to them.
It is a very good sell. I think, it's all intention. It's all a relationship to it, right? Everything is relational.
Yeah.
Not just with people, but with objects and technology and efficiency and optimization. And if we can have a healthy relationship, then maybe we can thrive.
Yeah, I think it's like about choosing. Not everything needs to be optimized. And you're talking to like someone who is like an optimization hoe. Like, I love to optimize things, but what I'm starting to realize on the other side of that is that not everything needs to be optimized. In fact, if I want to create, like I was just saying, if I want to create more time for the things that actually light me up, let me optimize the shit that I don't really love doing, but have to get done. So now this is happening faster. So over here, I can move slower. It's like the concept of like speeding up so you can slow down. That's, I think, the balance.
Speeding up so you can slow down. Yes, I'm with you. I like this.
And like you're talking, I mean, I don't know if you're like an astrology person, but I am a Taurus through and through. Like being lazy, sitting in comfort, like doing nothing, like that is my love. So if I can find a way to do more of that, like without foregoing everything else, like great, perfect.
So your love of optimization is not, you're saying, it is in service of cuddling, like not against it.
It's in service of achieving the outcome that I want. I think about that in a lot of ways of my life where it's like the delayed gratification of something. Like I'd rather do the thing now because, and this doesn't mean like don't live your life now and don't be present and happy and fulfilled and all the things. But I think a lot about what I want for my future family, the lifestyle I want to lead, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And those things aren't just going to like poof, pop up, right? Mm-hmm. So I think about a lot of the things that I do optimize for. That's the question, is like, what am I optimizing for? And I think everybody has an individual answer. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's just yours.
So what are you optimizing for? Where are you right now as a maker of things, as a writer, as a host, journalist? What is exciting you? What is boring you? All of the above.
What's exciting me has been, honestly, what's always excited me, which is people. Like I love talking to people. I love urging people to be more curious about the world, about themselves. I think, again, like I'm not saying that what I'm doing and all these conversations that I'm having are often, sometimes they're great and groundbreaking and we can feel like connected and whatever. And sometimes they're just like funny and we're shooting the shit and like that's the purpose of it. But I think all of it is for more connection. I've personally never felt more disconnected from things. I know that's not a unique perspective and feeling. And I think if we're talking about technology and just being on social media and all these things, especially since such a big part of my job is on social media, like how can we find ways to still feel connection in our real world, feel connection when we're walking down the street to somebody and understanding like this person's life is just as complex and nuanced as mine. Like that's a crazy thought when you really start thinking about it. Like every single person has this individual story. And so I think through the work that I do, be it through Irregardless or my Substack or the content that I create on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, like it's really that. It's like, how do we not feel so alone in the process of blank, the process of becoming, the process of building, the process of creating? How do we feel less disconnected in that? How do we create a little bit more empathy for one another through that? How can we, expand our perceptions of what's possible for ourselves and for our generations to come? Like that's sort of the crux of why I love sharing people's stories, is because I really, that concept of like, you can't be what you don't see, like I inherently believe in. And so that's just why I love talking to people, because you never know what they're going to say that unlocks something in them, that unlocks something in somebody else. And at the end of the day, sometimes when I'm talking to these celebrities or talent or, culture movers or whatever, thought leaders, sometimes like maybe they didn't, unlock something new within themselves in that conversation, but at the bare minimum, maybe they walked away being like, wow, this person really listened when I was talking to them. This person really helped me feel seen. Or this person, one of my favorites is like, help me remember why I do what I do and help me remember why I love what I do. That makes me really happy too, especially when you're interviewing these celebrities that like are these constant press junkets and press circuits and they're just being asked the same thing over and over again. Like my favorite thing to hear them say is like, no one's ever asked me that. Homework complete, like perfect. So it's just that connection.
So earlier you said you've done the work to love being with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we need connection.
Mm-hmm.
We sort of are tribal. We need others.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this. What is that dance? So does that mean you have like these, you're aware of these lonely nights where you're like, oh, there's a difference between solitude and loneliness. And if people listening, watching, reading aren't able to sort of build connection by interviewing humans or making art about them, what are some of the other techniques to build a healthier relationship between our solitude and our true intimacy with other people?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I'm still really in the thick of figuring that out. I think I had this big sort of like come to Jesus moment within myself recently where I was like, you network a lot, you get out there a lot, you do all of those things, but you're not doing enough to genuinely fill up your cup in a way that's meaningful for you. And so what's that going to look like? How can you form that connection? So I'm also really living in that. One thing I will say is a few years ago, like I'll never forget this. I was sitting outside and I was journaling and I was in such a bout of loneliness. And it really stuck with me because I was journaling about that feeling. And this is why I love free writing. Like I love a prompt, but I think just like allowing yourself to just word vomit, you never know where it's going to take you. And I was in one of those just word vomit moments talking about loneliness and how I was feeling. And it really hit me where I was like, I'm going to miss this feeling one day. God willing, one day I'm locking myself in my pantry because my 2-year-old won't stop screaming and the 4-year-old is running around the house and like all this craziness is happening. Like I can't wait for that day that all that starts to happen. And in that moment when I'm sitting on that pantry floor, like having a fucking meltdown because no one in my house will shut up, I'm going to miss this feeling of like, God, remember when I was lonely? Like, oh, remember that feeling? And that helped me get through it a lot where, like I said earlier, like sometimes it's really hard for me to allow myself to feel the big feelings. And the thing that's really helped me is just being like, what an honor that I get to experience this now, because like bad feelings come and go, good feelings come and go. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is forever. And so that really helps me through. But like a practical thing, you need to get out of the house. Like people need to leave the house more. Like, again, talking to someone who hates leaving her house, like you need to leave your house. You need to go outside. You need to smile to the person at the coffee shop, smile to the person on the street. Like I was at Whole Foods, right? Talking about Instacart. I actually went to the grocery store the other day and I came home and I was telling my boyfriend and I was like, everybody there, like I got so many discounts. The guy at the butcher, like chopped all the extra fat off of me and chopped it all up for free, didn't overcharge me, threw in an extra pound in there for me, all this stuff. Cause I was just like smiling and like having a conversation with these people and like asking about their day. And I was like, this was so fun. I had the best time at the freaking grocery store. Like I met this person that did X, Y, and Z and da-da-da-da. And I was like, wow, the things that happen when you leave your house. Sure, you know?
Yeah, I do know. Leaving the house is great, but staying in is also great. And that's the dance.
You gotta do both.
That's the dance. You seem to have this 30,000 foot view approach, which I think is
Thanks.
beautiful. Like there's a future you are aware of should you have the blessing to arrive there. There's a, in the 30,000 foot view lets us also see our present moment with some awareness of, the possible future, who we were, this sort of, I want to be this, I'm not that, maybe I'll be this, and is that a natural skill set, or is that a part of the journalistic artist writer quality? We lift ourselves out of the moment in a way.
I mean, I don't know, for me personally, I don't know if I can separate the two because I think I've always been that way. And I think that's what's also lended itself to me being good at my job. Like, I think they go pretty hand in hand. I've always like lived up here, which is a good thing and a bad thing. I think it's very important. And again, something that I've really been working on, particularly in 2025, like this was a big goal for me, was being grounded in the present moment, because I did a lot of freaking out about the future, seeing the big goal and being like, but how am I going to make it happen? What if it doesn't happen? Da, 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 da. And then also not allowing myself to be happy now before the thing comes. I think I've done this a lot throughout my life. I can remember being in high school and just wanting to go to college, because once I went to college, then I could graduate college and then I could get a job. And I thought that, I really wanted to work in a magazine. I saw The Devil Wears Prada once and was like, this is going to be my life. And it was, which was great because we love to manifest. But it was like, I had this notion that my life didn't start until film.
Yeah.
And then I woke up and was 29 and was like, but my life has been happening every single day. So what am I really talking about here? It's just going to be a different phase, a different iteration. But the day's going to pass. The sun's going to rise, the sun's going to go down every single day. No matter if I'm freaking out about the future or I'm not, it's going to happen every single day. So how can I allow myself to be happy here and now and also still dream big? And I think a big part of that that's really helped me is, when we talk about manifestation, and all those things, we know, you manifest from your subconscious. It's a very emotional thing. It's what you truly believe in your core that you are deserving of. And then obviously taking the aligned action and doing all of the things, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the big tools or whatever that even people talk about, Atomic Habits, this is a great book about this, where it really breaks down the idea of okay, you have this future version of you that you want to become. What are the habits of that person? How does that person, what's that mentality that person has? How does that person move through their day? You don't need the $10 million that you're dreaming for in order to implement that mindset now, or that mentality now, or those habits now. Does future you sit on her phone on the couch for 3 hours straight? Probably not. So why are we doing that now? And I think about that a lot. That really shook me this year, where I was like, oh, I don't have to wait until the thing's never going to arrive if I don't meet it there. You know what I mean? So I got to start moving in the way that future me is going to be moving, so that I could rise up to that frequency. Because the frequency is already existing somewhere out there on the energy field. So I'm like, I just gotta find it. I gotta level up.
It's reverse engineering. We don't go to it. It comes to us. Also is I say that, we want things because we think that things will make us feel a certain way. But I make the invitation that if you can align with the feeling on a consistent basis, that things will manifest to support the feelings.
100%. And I also think it is so important to have a baseline understanding of what is enough for you. That I think is so important, because it's very easy to get caught up in the keeping up with the Joneses of it all.
Yeah.
Thinking that you want the thing because somebody else has it. But in reality, when you actually ask yourself, and that tiny little voice inside of you is I actually don't give a fuck, but you're still saying oh, I want it, I want it, I want it. There's listen to that misalignment. Pay attention to that. I'll keep throwing books out at you because again, we love reading over here and I think it's important, but The Psychology of Money is a phenomenal book that unpacks that idea of you have to have an understanding of what is enough for you. It is critical to your happiness, because you cannot keep moving the goalpost.
Does that mean a number, literal number? No. What?
And yeah, I mean, in that context, they're talking about money, but he broadens it to specifically say in any area of your life, yeah, sure, it'd be great if you surpassed it, but are you okay? What are you good with? Truly, what are you good with? Because I don't want to be in the business of not letting myself celebrate a win because that win isn't as big as the 10-year plan. Yeah, I can't celebrate it now. I don't want to do that.
Well, I mean, you're assuming that people are, as someone who's wildly addicted to the systemic what's next quality of living, most human beings aren't even conscious that they're not celebrating their life or living their life. That is such an insane, not just privilege, that's a high skill set. I lean towards the practices of Buddhism because I think they are tools. They are free tools that are so wildly difficult to yield on a consistent basis. It's masterful samurai work to actually take inventory of your life and appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. I think about that a lot. Where like the fact and like this is it's such a I feel like the statement that I'm about to say is like almost like null because like I don't even have a solution for it. But I think about it a lot where it's like how lucky am I that I even have the space to like sit here and like have this conversation with you about like what I want to dream about today. Do you know what I mean? Like that is just a lot of people. That's not the reality that they have. They don't literally, they feel like they literally don't have the time. Like they're thinking about a million other things. They're supporting a bunch of kids. Like that can't enter their brain space today. And so I think about that a lot too. Of like, what a blessing that I can do that. And that's why it's like it's feels like such a silly even thing to say out loud because I'm like I wish I had a better solution or I could like offer something, but I'm not going to pretend to understand a struggle of someone that like I wish I could take away for them.
I think you've made an offering. Yeah, I think you've made an offering. I think this is an offering. I think conversation is an offering. Honest conversation is an offering. I think I think when we go to the grocery store, if we actually look someone in the eye, it's an offering. And when we don't go to the grocery store and we care for ourselves, also an offering.
Mhm.
I think if we do something with consciousness and awareness, it's an offering. Uh, like to, what is it? Life and death are of supreme importance. Time passes swiftly. Opportunity is lost. Let us awaken. Awaken. Do not squander your life.
Yeah. Period. There you go. No notes. It's true. I life is short, man. Like I'm reading this book right now about God, what's it called? It's over there. Something about like the productivity for mortals, something like that, I think is the title.
Oh, I know this book.
Okay, have you read it?
No, but my friend just told me about it in the sauna.
Okay, so I'm like not even halfway through, but I bought it in a moment of you're not doing enough, be more productive. Brr, like that was coming through. So I was like, oh, everyone tells you to read this book about productivity. So I bought it and I like begrudgingly opened it and started reading it because I was like annoyed and thought it was just going to be like one of these like optimization everything. And to my surprise, it's like totally not that. I mean, obviously it's about productivity, but the whole mentality around it is what I was saying earlier too, of like your to-do list is never going to get smaller. So you just have to choose what is actually a priority to you long term in your life and adjust accordingly so that you're actually able to live your life. And I think that's like one of the things that has scared me the most is when I think about like all of the hours that I've wasted, like scrolling on my phone, like mindlessly, or just like binging something on TV, which like I will never stop binging a show. Like, don't get me wrong. But it scared me where I was like, I'm gonna look back at my life when I'm, God willing, 90 years old and being like, what the fuck was I doing when I was like the most energy I'd ever had, youngest I'd ever been, like hottest I'd ever been. Like, what was I doing? Just like sitting, like squandering that time away. And so I think about that a lot too now, where how can I find like the things that are accessible to me now? Because obviously it's like shit also costs money. So like, of course, like everyone's like, get a hobby. And then like I choose like the best hobby. And I'm like, okay, like I just went to go take a freaking horseback riding lesson. Like that wasn't cheap.
So fun.
Really filled up my soul because like little me used to love doing that. So I was like, great, okay, I can't do that once a week, but I can definitely fit that into my budget once a month. Like, what are the ways that I can reallocate my funds or reallocate my time to make sure that I'm actually like living my life?
And doing things that don't, like, I'm imagining that you're not horseback riding because you want to go pro.
Yeah.
Like we need to engage in things that have no relation to our profession or to-do list or careers or accomplishment list.
Yeah.
Like, and that is also, yeah, it's so easy to like start taking the pottery class and be like, I'm gonna sell pottery. It's like you could have just fucking made a cup.
Seriously, no, just make the cup. Like truly. And I think that's so easy for creatives to fall down that rabbit trap. Like one of my favorite quotes, like who even knows where this originated, but it's the idea of it's like teach specifically men, sorry, where it's like, teach a man to fish one day and the next day he'll turn around and teach pretending like he invented fishing. And I think that that's so applicable to like creatives in general, because it's like takes one pottery class and is like making a whole course that's like a full funnel now with like a whole like email list, and they're like, subscribe to my Substack about da 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 da, like learn how to da da da, and it's like you figured that out yesterday.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Teach a man to fish. You open the store.
Yeah, exactly. Teaching the class.
It's funny. As we start to wrap, any questions, any last thoughts, anything you want to share?
I mean, for you, like, what are the ways in which you navigate your own presence every single day? Because you're also like navigating an industry that puts you in somebody else's headspace a lot. Yeah. So how do you like come back to you?
Everything we've talked about, our worth cannot be dependent. I don't even think this is just Hollywood related. I think we have now sold a currency of likes and views to everyone, to children, to anyone. And the fact that you can stand next to someone and say, I got more of this than you did, is extremely harmful to our spirits, to our souls, to our egos. And so un-Hollywood related, if you think your worth is dependent on an outside source, you've missed the game. Like you're at the gate and you never walked in the temple. Like, so that's my work. Like that's the great work for which all other work is preparation, is to see myself, know myself, love myself, know my source, but even get past myself. Like that's the great work. It's like, oh, I don't need outside validation because I can give it to myself. And then I can even get past self. And I can see that everything I've ever loved and everything I will ever love, person, place, plant, dog, cat, food, there is a source to that love. And so for me, it's like a deepening process. Can I keep opening my heart, and can I keep going deeper? Can I keep opening my heart? Can I keep going deeper? And then when you ask that question of life, you see how many times you want to close your heart every day. Yeah. You want to do it a lot. And so how can we say, I'm gonna open it? Because when we open our heart, it actually doesn't become about us anymore. When we close our heart, it's about us. When we open our heart, it's about others. And so that's the fun process.
I love that answer. I was thinking literally about that today, where there was such a period of my life where I didn't want people to see me, because I was like, if they don't really know you, if they can't see you, they can't hurt you. That was my big thing. And it's such a crock of shit, because nothing is more painful than the self-betrayal that you're causing when you don't allow yourself to love fully and completely. And what a disservice, I think, at least, to, like you said, that source, because that source, really isn't us. Like, I think it's the same thing with creativity, right? It's like this well that we get to tap into. Like, how disrespectful to that source, whatever your belief system is, like how disrespectful to that thing that you were given access to it and you were like, I'm good. Like, I don't know. I think it's just that self-betrayal is really painful. I think it's always worth whatever risk it is in your brain of getting hurt or being seen or whatever. That is way less painful than going to bed every night knowing that you did everything in your power not to be open in any capacity.
On that note, may we open our hearts?
There you go.
Anything you want to say, how people can hang out with you, know more about you, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me on all socials. It's at Gabi Ulloa _. That's across all socials on my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can subscribe to my Substack if you would like to. On YouTube, you can also watch my episodes of Irregardless. And Instagram, I feel like, is the most in real time. You can read my writing, do all the things. We can chat. Thank you for having me. This was really fun. What a good conversation on a Monday.
Yeah. On a rainy Monday. It's the rain. It really grounds it in something beautiful.
I love the rain.